the like. It's this story that, I believe it's from Midrash. Is it Midrash? Cantor, do you know? The thing with the two angels in Shabbat?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know. Well, that's fine. We're going to call it Midrash of some kind or another for now. The story is, it's a parable that there are two angels that accompany every Jewish person on their way to Shabbat. When the person has a lovely Shabbat, they get to daven a little bit, they get to have a lovely Shabbat meal. The good angel blesses, may it be like this again next week. And the evil angel has to say, Amen. When said person forgets Shabbat, passes him by, there's no Shabbos Kodesh, none of that holiness, there isn't a lovely meal, there isn't prayer, there isn't anything holy to it. The evil angel blesses, may it be like this next week. And the good angel has to say, Amen. I like that story because I feel like it's a commentary on human nature, in a way. I'll bet if one is in the habit of celebrating Shabbat, one is more likely to celebrate Shabbat again next week. We make these habits as human beings, right? We're creatures of habit. But what if the habits that we pass on generationally? What is it that we pass down l'dor vador? Do we believe in collective punishment for the next generation for things that a previous generation has done wrong? Ethically, that's kind of a tough proposition. We like it in the positive. We have this idea of zechut avot, that like the righteousness of your parents' generation, whatever it is that they did right, that gets passed down. Okay, so like the good stuff. But what about the bad stuff? To what extent do we teach the younger generation our mistakes? To what extent is genetics a certain kind of destiny? I ask because of the Jacob story, and early Jacob. The one we get in this week's parsha. We're going to have a whole lot more Jacob in the book of Bereshit. It's fine. But this week, we get the birth of Jacob to Rebekah and Isaac, just after his brother Esav. And Jacob's early life has all manner of subterfuge, right? First, there's the nastiness of like, I don't know, sell me your birthright for a bowl of the red stew. And Esav goes for it, selling Esav's birthright. But then there's this piece where Jacob, with the support of his mother Rebekah, puts on this like animal skin and pretends to be Esav, and goes to Isaac, who can no longer see, and is like, "Hey Dad, bless me with the blessing of the firstborn." And Isaac says, your arm here, feeling this animal skin that Jacob has put on to feel rougher for his blind father, says, feels like Esav, but it sounds like Jacob, essentially. But in fact, Isaac doesn't see through it. Isaac blesses Jacob. And all the way down the lineage of the Jewish people, we have Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei, not Esav. And Jacob is now our patriarch for the rest of Jewish history. Because he ripped off his brother. Kind of feels like dirty pool to me. But what's striking to me is then the elements of deception which are going to reverberate through the generations. Imagine Genesis is not, the book of Bereshit is not a foregone conclusion, that we don't know all of the things that already happened. We already know the things that happened, but imagine, play along with me for a second, okay? We're going to have this business where Jacob wants to marry Rachel, but his uncle Lavan is going to trick him into first marrying Leah, and there's a whole back and forth with that, and deception comes around again. Let's go a couple more generations, or one more generation rather, into Joseph and the Joseph story. That is just replete with deception. Hey, This kid over here, Joseph, is Dad's favorite. I know. Let's kill him. No, wait. Let's sell him to these Midianite types over here and pretend a wild animal ate him. Great. And now off goes Joseph. You can also trace this the other direction too. If you go to the father of Isaac, Abraham, think about that piece with Pharaoh asking him, "Who's this woman who's traveling with you?" He's talking about Sarah. "Oh, this is my sister. It's cool." There's another lie, another bit of deception. And so I begin wondering, are we teaching these things generation to generation, or are they getting passed down as some kind of like horrible genetic joke in this sense? Is this a certain kind of, I don't know, destiny in a way? It's not pretty. And it's hard to swallow. Ultimately, when it comes to this kind of deception, to this kind of sleight of hand within each generation, one generation to another, kind of lies that are replete with Bereshit in terms of what the family does. The narrative is pretty clear that it's not the ideal, and they don't talk about Jacob as being particularly righteous, or Joseph, or some of these other figures until later on in their lives after they have learned something. And so I appreciate that there is something of a trajectory here. There is room for these people who got to know God so closely and personally to lie and to screw up and to do it wrong and to be nasty and to be really flawed human beings. And yet they keep at it. Jacob, going back to this week's parsha, Jacob, he steals the blessing of the firstborn. Esav is mad at him for partiot, and there's this great scene where Esav goes after him with basically a militia, and Jacob tries to split his little family in half because he recognizes Esav could wipe him out in either one of these. And Esav catches up to him, and the big finish to it, Esav gives him a hug. Tricked him. But this time, the deception, if there is any, is in service of a reconciliation. It's an expression of love rather than of hatred, rather than of theft. So I like to think that if Jacob has a little bit of learning and growing to do, it's all right for us to figure it out along the way and to try and help those next generations avoid some of those same mistakes, but, they'll do what they're going to do. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to continue with the Baruch Hu, our call to prayer on 52. I invite you, please rise.